العالمين وصلاة ربي وسلامه ورحمته وبركاته على ذاك النبي الكريم نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. We continue Kitab al-Tawheed, 6:56 p.m. Sunday, January the 6th, 2019, which is now the 29th night of Rabi' al-Thani, Aam 1440, the 29th night of Rabi' al-Thani, 1440 after the Hijrah of Mustafa alayhi salatu wassalam. We continue Kitab al-Tawheed by the great Imam al-Mujaddid rahimahullah. As we continue in the chapter, the reason وما جاء أن سبب كفر بني آدم وتركهم دينهم هو الغلو في الصالحين. The chapter which comes the reason for the disbelief of the children of Adam and them leaving off their religion. The reason is extremism in regards to the righteous. Extremism in regards to the righteous. As we talked about, Ya Ma'ashal Ikhwa, that extremism occurs in a lot of ways. Extremism, like we said, in belief, extremism in statements and actions. In extremism, it's a chair in my office. It's a chair in my office. Should be one in there. Just grab one. Should be a chair in my office or a chair back there. Extremism, like we said, could be in statements and action and belief. It could be one of the three, or it could be all three at the same time. For you notice that the great Imam that he inaugurated the chapter, rahimahullah, rahmatu wasi'ah, by what, everyone? By the event that happened to the people of the book, who's the Jews and the Christians. Because they were the ones who, as we know, were affected by this extremism. Extremism in what, everyone? Extremism in statements. And then extremism in statements and actions, as we know, led to extremism in belief, until they fell into everything that was prohibited. But the reason why you'll find a great Imam use the ayat in regards to the people of the book, where Allah Ta'ala addressed them, prohibiting them to not be extreme in their religion, and saying not to say upon Allah except the truth. And then he started by refuting their notion, or their belief that Jesus is the Son of God, or part of Allah, or part of three, or he's the Son of Allah. So we said, Ya Ma'ashal Ikhwa, keep in mind that the methodology you'll find in the book of Allah Ta'ala is a lot of refutations and a lot of rebuttals against all falsehood. As this book was sent, as we know, not only for guidance to the people, which is correct, but also to refute and clarify what was considered a misconception or misunderstanding or a total distortion and alteration altogether. And this book, which is the last final revelation, put everything in its proper place by clarifying everything that has been misconstrued or warped or twisted or altered. Allah set, as you want to say, for lack of a better word, set the record straight for everyone to lay down what is the correct belief in regards to what they differ in. So we said, Ya Ma'ashal Ikhwa, you'll find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we know, firstly, prohibited extremism. And Allah ta'ala prohibited the Jews and the Christians from doing this. And not to say upon Allah except the truth. And then we talked about the ayah where it says, verily Jesus the son of Mary is the messenger of Allah. إنما المسيح عيسى بن مريم رسول الله وكلمته. And we said when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, verily Jesus the son of Mary is the messenger of Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refuted two groups. He refuted two groups in that one ayah. We said when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, verily Jesus the son of Mary, just the word son of Mary in it is a refutation. Because a person, if he's born, then he's ascribed to his father. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and if Jesus was the son of Allah, or the son of God as they claim, then he would have been ascribed to his father, who was Allah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removed that notion and put Maryam, his mother, in his place. and he was ascribed to his what? His mother. To let one know just by that mere one summarized sentence that Allah is not his what? It's not his father. That's why he said Jesus, the son of Mary. Which to let one clearly know that what? Jesus was not, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was not his father. And if that was the case, he would have been ascribed to Allah. It would have been Jesus ibn Allah. But it's not Jesus, the son of Allah, or Jesus, the son of God. Rather, is the son of Mary, which was to refute who? To refute the Christians, who say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is his father, or he's the son of Allah. And likewise, in the same ayah as we talked about and discussed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes on to say, what everyone? He's the messenger of Allah. Verily, Jesus, the son of Mary, refutation against the Christians, is the messenger of Allah. And that's a refutation against who? The Jews, who deny his messengership and him being a prophet. And there's so many ayats like this, in which I'll discuss likewise in another ayah. Chair, brother. That's not how you properly sit in the chair. Straighten up the chair. Seems like you're about to fall off the chair. Tayyib, do you need a chair? You sure? So we said, Ya ma'ashal ikhwa, that Allah Ta'ala refutes all these different corruptive beliefs and ideologies in his book, which cannot be counter-enumerated. Also likewise, we talked about the hadith which is a Sahih al-Bukhari. And you thought Ibn Abbas, as we also took, where Allah Ta'ala prohibited the people of Nuh not to take as their deities those different names of people who are righteous, whose name was Wad, was Suwa', wa Yaghuth, wa Ya'uq, wa Nasr. All those were names of people who are righteous, in which also likewise extremism was done in regards to what? Praising them, overpraising them, until, like we said, Shaitan utilized this type of extremism and praise and love until they raised them above a level in which they were not supposed to have, which they were raised to the level of being deitized, or being a deity of worship, and they were deitized, meaning they were raised above the status of Bashariyah and the Ubudiyah to the level of Uluhiyah. As they were raised above the level which is of being a servant and servitude and being a man or being from mankind to the level of being a deity of worship. And this is what Allah Ta'ala prohibited in the ayat which is a Surah Nuh, if you look in your books. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly says that you will not leave off your deities, meaning leaving off those people who are righteous, leaving off worshiping them, or likewise, as we said, the other meaning is prohibiting those from humiliating them. Is that there were people, as we know, as the people of Tawheed used to humiliate their deities or humiliate their statues. So you'll find, Ya Ma'ashal Ikhwa, as we said, that the meaning of the ayat number 1 is not to what? That you will not leave off worshiping these people, or likewise, not letting anyone humiliate them. Was also meaning as we discussed. For we said in regards to the people of Nuh, as this type of extremism, as you'll find, it was done during the time of the Sahaba, and how the deviant sects came about as a result of extremism. One of the deviant sects, as we know, was the Shia, who the Rawafid or the Rafidah. The Rafidah or the Shia was started by an extremism, or the plot of starting, number 1, initially by a Jew. And we talked about that Abdullah ibn Saba al-Yahudi was the Jew who started an extremism, as he stirred, or he aroused in the people certain love for Ali ibn Abi Talib, as this happened during this time. As Ali ibn Abi Talib, when he became the Khalifa, as we know that Abdullah ibn Saba, the Jew, plotted against Islam, became Muslim out of hypocrisy, and he plotted to distort it. Notice that the Jew, his name was Abdullah ibn Saba, he knew that the strength of the Muslims came from their belief system. He knew that. So he wanted to now combat them in the manner which gives them their strength, which to now what? Take them away from what was correct. So from the first deviant sects in Islam was the Shia. And it all came because of this chapter, if you look in your books, which is what? Extremism. Extremism in what? Extremism in praise of Ali ibn Abi Talib until they fell into extremism in belief. As we know, the Shia, the first was started by Abdullah ibn Saba. So the deviant sect, the Shia, was started by Abdullah ibn Saba. And the deviant sect called the Khawarij was also started by Abdullah ibn Saba. So the fitna of today of the Muslims, which is still their fitna to this moment that we're in right now, was all started by the Jew whose name was Abdullah ibn Saba. So Abdullah ibn Saba started the first deviant sects in Islam, who were the Khawarij, and likewise the Shia. For the Shia was started by him finding a group of people and instilling in them the belief system that Ali is a deity of worship. Because you'll find that the Shia to this day still overpraise and raise Ali above a level that he didn't even claim for himself. Rather, he totally denied it. Ali ibn Abi Talib. As Ali ibn Abi Talib denied, and rather he rejected that the people declare him to be some deity of worship. So Ali ibn Abi Talib, as we know, the deviant sects, the Shia was started by Abdullah ibn Saba. Until the Shia, as we know, was raised the level of Ali to a deity of worship and called him a ilah, called him Allah, or deity, As Ali ibn Abi Talib, when he heard this, he was astonished. And not only that, Ali ibn Abi Talib reprimanded them for this evil statement of theirs. Why? Because Ali ibn Abi Talib knew this was extremism. You take him and raise him of a level of the deity of Allah, till you'll find that Ali ibn Abi Talib reprimanded them and condemned this evil statement of theirs highly. Why? Because of this going in total opposition to what the Messenger of Allah ﷺ came and called to, which is the unification of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his worship. So Ali ibn Abi Talib gave them 3 days to repent. As we know, Ali gave them 3 days to repent and stop and refrain from this statement. They didn't want to refrain. They didn't want to refrain and stop from this praise of Ali to the point where they raised him to a point of deity. So notice that they fell into extremism. Extremism in statement, extremism in action and belief. They raised Ali above his level of being a man and a servant and a worshiper of Allah. That's it. To the level of a deity of worship. So we say, Ya Ma'ashar al-Ikhwa, upon that Ali ibn Abi Talib, are you writing this down? Write this down. Ali ibn Abi Talib gave them 3 days to repent. He gave them 3 days to repent and to return back to the truth. Until upon that, Ali ibn Abi Talib commanded that they be what? That they be killed. Due to this type of extremism, which is to raise the individual to the level of being a deity, of a man being worshipped. A man, as Ali ibn Abi Talib highly condemned this. Even though all of the Sahaba agreed, no doubt, that these people who raised him to a level of deity, that the punishment for that, the capital punishment for a person that does this, is that he is killed by the ruler. That's the actual what? Ruling. But that's only for the jurisdiction of what, everyone? Of the ruler, of the Muslim leader of the country. So, and we know Ali at the time was the Khalifa. He was the ruler. So upon that, he established this punishment against them, that they be what? That be killed. However, Ali ibn Abi Talib, everyone, as we know, Ali ibn Abi Talib had burnt them. He burnt them. Until you'll find that Ibn Abbas and other than them had what? Criticized him in this regard. Until the text, they say that Ali ibn Abi Talib did not know that that which was correct is that they be killed by the sword, not be burnt up. But the point of matter here is to show that Ali ibn Abi Talib rejected that what? He be worshipped or be deitized or be raised to the level of a deity of worship, was all started by the Yahud and the Jew. His whole intention was to arouse and start fitna amongst the Muslims. Because we know once the death of Uthman Ali had happened, that stopped a lot of what? Progress amongst the Muslims. Because now they had to devote towards now what? Attaining to now making sure that the actual leader or rulership was what? Established and stable. Before they could move on to now resuming their other activities of spreading Islam and other different important matters that deserve to be cared for. But however, the affair of the ruler of fitna being done inside was the whole purpose of Abdullah ibn Saba al-Yahudi wanted to do in order to halt the progress of Islam and the progress of everything moving forward. And he did. He came to now start dissension and discord amongst the Muslims in regards to their leadership until everything was stopped. So the whole plot of him was just to cause fitna. It was ordered to what? Cause some type of fitna. But however, the point of why we keep mentioning this chapter, which is ghulu, extremism, is because the deviant sect of the Shia to this day are still what? Prevalent amongst us. They still overpraise Ali, and they still raise him above his level, and they all what? Do exactly what happened back then to now, and it's no different. A person would think now today would change, is still the same. They deitize and they raise Ali above his level and above what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him of status which befits him, from being a companion of the Messenger of Allah and being for those who are promised paradise. But he did not call to whatsoever to what? To worshiping him. That's taking him way above his level. And this is exactly what the Christians fell into when, as you'll find that Ahl Ilm say that Abdullah ibn Saba al-Yahudi to this ummah was the same as Paul to the what? To the Christians. He was the same thing. So Abdullah ibn Saba al-Yahudi, he plotted to change the religion of Islam. And he plotted to do that. He came up with the deviant sects that deitized people, which was the same thing that Paul did to the what? To the legislation of Jesus, the son of Mary. Paul did the exact same thing. He was a Jew. Everyone knows he was a Jew. Paul was a Jew. Paul was a Jew who also likewise came in, showed that he was so-called from amongst the followers of Jesus, the son of Mary, and he was plotting against them. And he was waiting for the right moment to now what? Carry out his plot. So then Paul came with the evil doctrine of what? The evil doctrine that Jesus was a part of Allah, or Jesus was what? The third of three, or that Jesus was the son of Allah, and that Allah was his father, or that Bani Adam, all the children of Adam are Allah's children. And the doctrine that Jesus died on the cross for the atonement of the sins of mankind. That was a message that Jesus never called to. That was a doctrine that Paul came up with in order to mislead and misguide and change and alter the religion of Jesus, the son of Mary. So his whole plot was to what? To distort the religion and the message of Jesus, the son of Mary. And he did it. He accomplished it. Because the majority of the Christians in the Christian world of now today believed in the doctrine that Paul came up with, not the original teachings of Jesus, the son of Mary. Majority of the Christians follow what he came with. That's why you'll find that they say that the most influential personalities in this world was number one, Muhammad, the Prophet. Then they say Paul, then they say Jesus. Why do they say Paul second? Because the majority of the Christians follow the message of Paul, not Jesus. So his influence over the Christians is more dominant than what? The Jesus, the son of Mary. Because they follow his teachings, not the teachings of Jesus. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? They follow his teachings. The newly introduced doctrine of the cross and him dying for the atonement of the sins of mankind, or him being a part of Allah, or being the son of Allah, or being some deity some type of way, or him being the third of three, or being the children, or being a child of Allah, to the end of it. All these affairs were what? Newly introduced that Jesus, the son of Mary, never called to. Never, ever. Rather, you'll find in all the authentic verses, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in his book, that everything was what? That Jesus, the Son of Mary, only called to the worship of Allah, and that he was just merely a servant, and he was a human being, just like the rest of the prophets and messengers that were likewise sent in this regard. So you'll find there's an ayah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even said. There's another ayah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in his book, مَا الْمَسِيحُ ابْنُ مَرْيَمْ إِلَّا رَسُولٌ قَدْ خَلَتْ مِنْ قَبْلِهِ الرُّسُلُ وَأُمُّهُ صِدِّيقَةٌ كَانَا يَأْكُلَانِ الطَّعَامَ انظر كيف نصرف لهم الآيات ثم انظر أن يفكون. Allah Ta'ala said in Surah Al-Ma'idah, that he says that Jesus al-Masih ibn Maryam is no more than a messenger from the messengers that have passed. And his mother was Siddiqah. She was very truthful, on a high level of truthfulness. And that they used to eat food. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this ayah, which is in Surah Al-Ma'idah, again is refuting the Christians and the Jews, both. He said that the Masih, the Messiah, Ibn Maryam. So who's we refuting in the ayah again? The Messiah, Ibn Maryam. The Christians. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps ascribing Jesus to who? His mother. His mother. Because we know, like we said, if he truly was the son of, well, he had a father, truly, he'll be ascribed to his what? To his father. He'll be ascribed to his father. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is laying down the truth here in this ayah that what? Jesus has no father. Allah wanted to show how he was immaculately, or the so-called, what they call immaculate conception, took place without a father. So took place without a father. And that Allah has ascribed to him to his what? His mother. Out of refutations against the Christians. So this shows here in the Quran that the same deity that they claim they worship is the same deity we worship. So don't ever let some Christians say your God and my God is different. So why is Allah talking about Jesus? And why is he talking about the Jews? And why is he talking about all the prophets from before? It's the same deity. But he's clarifying your mistakes in the final revelation that no one can what? Tamper with. So the Quran, which is the final revelation, clarifies all the mistakes that the Jews and the Christians fell into and why they deviated. And how, and the reasons of why they deviated. And one of the reasons why they deviated was because of extremism. Extremism in what? Extremism in statements, actions, and belief. And you'll find that they fell into all three. You'll find that the Christians, in their actions, statements, and belief system, had went to the extreme. They claim in communion, they eat his blood, they eat his body. You'll find that they say he's Lord. You'll also believe that he's what? He is Allah. Or he is Lord in some of their statements. Or he's the third of three. Or he's the Son of God. Or he's the part of God. All this is extremism in all three categories. Statements, actions, and belief. Which came as a result of it, they what? They fell into disbelief and they went astray. To the point where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had declared them to be what? وَلَضَّالِّينَ. That you recite Surah Al-Fatiha every day. They what? Not of those whose anger fell upon them, nor what? Nor those who went astray. طيب. We know in the ayat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in his book, as you'll find in Surah Al-Anbiya, and I forgot the number of the ayat, you guys find it later, not now, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Anbiya, as you'll find that the polytheists during the time of the Messenger of Allah did everything they could to cause confusion, to come with any type of doubtful matter, to cast some type of confusion about the truth. You'll find as an ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّكُمْ وَمَا تَعْبُدُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ حَصَبُ جَهَنَّمْ أَنْتُمْ لَهَا وَارِدُونَ وَلَوْ كَانَ هَؤُلَاءِ آلِهَةً مَا وَرَدُوهَا وَهُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ لَهُمْ فِيهَا زَفِيرٌ وَهُمْ فِيهَا لَا يَسْمَعُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in this book, verily you and what you worship besides Allah are fuel for hell. Allah sent down an ayah talking to the mushrikeen, or addressing the mushrikeen, where it says, you and what you worship besides Allah are fuel of hell. And you're going to enter it. Antum laha waridun. You're going to enter it. طيب. So now Allah Ta'ala sent down another ayah. Now listen. Refuting their belief system and showing that everything that's worship besides Allah, listen to this ayah. If it was the truth, you would not have entered it. If what you was doing was correct in the worldly life, and if it was doing what you was correct and it's going to benefit you now, take yourself out of hell now and tell your deities to do it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in his book, if what they were doing was true deities of worship, they want to enter the hellfire in the first place. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes at them at their mind, telling you on the day of resurrection explicitly, in detail, what's going to take place. Allah says, everything that you worship besides Allah is going to be what? Fuels of hell. All of you are going to enter. Allah is addressing the mushrikeen. So it says in the ayah, if they were true deities of worship, they would not have entered it. And they will abide therein eternally. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this ayah is refuting what? All the different religions and ideologies on the day of resurrection, that Allah will make them fuel of hell by those worshippers and the deities that are being worshipped, that they were worshiping. And he says, and if it was correct what you're doing, you would not enter hell. If they were true deities that you were doing, they would have took you out of hell. They would have saved you. Right or wrong? They can't save you now. So that shows that what? That what they were upon in this world was totally what? Incorrect. And on this day, anything that you were doing, is it beneficial now? No, it isn't. So then now the mushrikeen, now listen, this is not the point why I'm mentioning this, brothers. Now the mushrikeen came with another doubt. They didn't stop there. So there was a narration, I think his name is Abdullah ibn Ziba'ri. I think it was Ziba'ra. I think it's Abdullah ibn Ziba'ra. Abdullah ibn Ziba'ra I think took Shahada, he became a Sahabi later. But at any rate, Abdullah ibn Ziba'ra said that some of the Quraysh, he came with a satanic ambiguity. He said, Tayyib, if everything that was worshipped along with Allah in this dunya, so that means that Jesus, the son of Mary, is in hell. That means that the Uzair is in hell. And it also means that the angels are in hell. Because there were people from who? From the creation who worshiped Jesus, who worshiped Uzair, and who also worshiped the angels. So he came with this what? Ambiguity. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down another ayah, refuting more falsehood. Refuting that also, that ambiguity. So notice they did everything they could to cause confusion, using every type of method, every type of statement, any type of satanic way in order to what? Get the people to get away from the truth. So when this ayah was sent down, Allah ta'ala clarified, when he came with this ambiguity, with this doubt, Allah sent down another ayah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down another ayah, where Allah ta'ala says in his book, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ سَبَقَتْ لَهُم مِّنَ الْحُسْنَى أُولَٰئِكَ عَنْهَا مُبْعَدُونَ لَا يَسْمَعُونَ حَسِيسَهَا وَهُمْ فِيمَا اشْتَهَتْ أَنفُسُهُمْ خَالِدُونَ. Allah ta'ala goes on to say in the ayah, it says, then Allah, those who is preceded from us, al-husna, meaning belief, verily they will be farly removed from it. So that ayah was pertaining to Jesus, the son of Mary, and it was pertaining to Uzair, and it was pertaining to the angels. That those who are what? From those who are worshipped in this world, or are not pleased with the people worshiping them, they will be what? Be from those of paradise who will be put far away from it. From those who are righteous. For those who are upon what? Iman, and those who are upon righteous actions, and especially the prophets and the messengers. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down another ayah refuting the doubt that they tried to say, where he says, see, you mean to tell us that those who will enter the hellfire will be Jesus, the son of Mary, Uzair, and the angels? Because it says clearly in the ayah, O Messenger of Allah, that they were saying to him, alayhi salatu wasalam, you said that everything and us and those who will be in worship along with Allah, all will be hell or the fuels of hell. So that must be included along with them who? Jesus, the son of Mary. Also who? Uzair and the angels, because there were people that worshiped them. And Allah sent down the ayat that what? They are the exception. Meaning those who are righteous in this world, not only just Jesus, the son of Mary, and the angels, but anyone else who are righteous, who was raised above their level, who also likewise was worshipped in this dunya, will not receive the punishment or be punished or put in hell if he was from those who are what? Who are righteous truly. They will be removed far from the hellfire, and they will receive their reward for what they did of righteousness. Similar to who fell into that, like we said, was Abdul Qadir Jilani, who the Sufis raised above his level. Likewise, it's similar to this, it's exact same thing. As Abdul Qadir Jilani was also raised above his level, and he was worshipped besides Allah. And you'll find to this day that a lot of the Sufis who follow the Shaykh, the tariqah to al-Qadiriyah, you'll find that they make dua to Abdul Qadir Jilani, which is extremism. And extremism in Abdul Qadir Jilani until they raised him above his level, until they made dua to him, and they fell into major polytheism as a result of it. And like we said, there's different types of tariqas of Sufiya. Like we talked about, brothers, there's not only one, there's different types. You have Shadiliya, Qadiriyya, Tijaniya, Shadiliya, Naqshbandiya, Barlawiya. It's a lot of different tariqas. You understand, everyone? Depending on which country what they're mostly involved in. But there's a lot of them. Shadiliya, Qadiriyya, Tijaniya, especially in different parts of Africa, Tijaniya, Qadiriyya, Barlawiya, Naqshbandiya, there's a lot of them. You understand, everyone? But at any rate, you'll find that they fell into the exact extremism that we're talking about right now. The extremism of raising one above his level to the point where they deitized him. Someone who was righteous. As we know, Abdul Qadir Jilani was Sunni, he was Salafi, he was Hanbali. He was from he was Hanbali. He was also from those who followed the madhab of Imam Ahmad. He was Hanbali. However, they raised him above his degree until they fell into polytheism and they deitized him because of extremism. Because of extremism. In praise and actions in belief. All of them fell into this, what we're speaking about right now. And to the point where extremism you can find, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, which mixed with not even having knowledge, allows one to fall into this type of deviance. Which is what? Which is likewise for people who's not even righteous. Who's not known to have any knowledge. Rather, they were known to be enemies. Such as you'll find Ahmed Badawi, which is in Egypt. Ahmed Badawi in Egypt, who we talked about. Which is a famous grave that the people That the people worship in Egypt right now. You'll find there's a grave by Ahmed Badawi in which we discussed that we said that he was what? That Ahmed Badawi was Shi'i, Sufi. Shi'i, Sufi. And he was also likewise from those who came in the masjid, he peed in it. He peed in the masjid and he left without praying. They said he came in the masjid and peed inside of it. He was known to be a person who was what? He was a person that was Shi'i, Sufi. He was not known to have any knowledge. He was not known to have any fadl. He was not known to have any virtue. He was not known to have any ilm. He was not known to have any zuhd. He's not known to have for any of these matters. And despite of that, the Muslims worship his grave. To let you know how far of misguidance the Muslims have fell into. How far they've gone. To the point where you even now worship a person who's not even known to be salih. He's not even known to be righteous. And his grave is very famous in Egypt. Very famous. Very famous. Not many people could go to Egypt and not know about the grave of Badawi. In which the people that they perform worship to his grave. And he was an individual who was not known for righteousness at all. No. You even find that there are people that worship the grave of Ibn Arabi. Ibn Arabi, the one who's the president, if you want to say, the president and the head of the Sufis, who called to wahdatul wujud, to unification of the creation binding with Allah and Allah binding with the creation. That Ibn Arabi and Ibn Farid are people who they worship. Yes, they worship them. They worship Ibn Arabi and Ibn Farid. Because they say that Allah is Ayn al-Khalq and al-Khalq Ayn Allah. That Allah is exactly in the creation is exactly in Allah. So as a relation, and so in that regards, they worship Ibn Arabi, Al-Hatimi al-Ta'i, and also Ibn Farid. They worship them. And they have a grave that they claim that they say that exists where they worship him. This individual who's the caller of the most filthiest belief that anyone could believe. And they worship his grave. And they worship him. To let you know how satanic and how far away the Muslims have gone so far in the religion, and then they wonder why all these different catastrophes happen to the Muslims all around the world. Because once you have now penetrated the barrier of Tawheed to the point where you have committed shirk with the most filthiest of people, how do you think that Allah Ta'ala is now going to give you aid? How do you think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give you success and remove the Muslims from the different types of atrocities and the different events that are taking place to them and disasters and the different types of humiliation, disgrace that has now fallen upon them, and the power that's been given to the non-Muslims to be over them, all because of them committing this ultimate sin. There's no sin after shirk. Once shirk is done, everything else is left open. Everything else falls into place of what you can think of the most filthiest acts. Because once shirk is in the land, then all the other satanic acts are following right behind it. Where it falls right behind it. Of magic, sorcery, you name it. Filth as far as with animals. You'll find there's stories of the Sufis having sex with animals and doing things with animals. You'll find it. You'll find the stories in the Athar. Sex with animals. And he say, oh no, he could do that. He's a wali of Allah. He's a wali. Or he could give khutbah naked. No, he could do that. He's a wali of Allah. He's a wali. He could do that. He could commit, and also you'll find his athar for some of them from their Sufi sheikhs used to leave out from the house of different prostitutes. Who can do that because he's a wali of Allah. He could do that. Also, likewise, stories of them not praying anymore. He could do that because he's a wali of Allah. Rather, he is Allah and Allah is within him. Like we said, every sin falls in this place after what? Polytheism. Everything else goes. Everything else follows behind it. Because the hurma or the sacredness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of his rights have been transgressed, then it's all more reason that the rights of the creation will be what? Transgressed. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? So all these people, like we said, are all what takes place in the Muslim world today. Right now, a lot of people think, oh, this is a time of old. No, this is taking place contemporarily, right now. This is taking place right now, as we speak. People think this doesn't exist. No, this still exists to this day, right now. So when you go over to Egypt and you go over to certain places, you see people worshiping graves, don't indulge in it. You'll be, inshallah, from those few people who Allah has given fiqh to understand their religion properly. Because the fiqh of understanding the religion properly these days are shrinking, very small. While other people just blindly follow and do things out of fanaticism or being a blind fanatic of falsehood. Just because of doing what their mothers and their forefathers used to do, and I'm just what? Following in them in their footsteps. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? You'll find even from the trick of the past what happened with the first one who came with polytheism to the land of the Arab in the Jazeera, who was Amr ibn Luhay al-Khuza'i. Is Amr ibn Luhay with a ha. Luhay al-Khuza'i. Amr ibn Luhay al-Khuza'i was the first one to bring polytheism to the land of the Arab, especially in the location where Saudi is of today. Amr ibn Luhay al-Khuza'i. Amr ibn Luhay al-Khuza'i. Who the Prophet ﷺ said he seen him as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed him to see him in the hellfire being tortured by him dragging his intestines in the hellfire. Amr ibn Luhay al-Khuza'i, who the Messenger of Allah said that he'll be dragging his intestines in the hellfire because he's the first one that started polytheism in the land of the Arab. Meaning that he brought the idols that were buried, as they say, were from the people of Nuh, as they say, and he also dug them up. He dug them up, and he brought them to the lands until the people started worshiping them. The people started worshiping idols again. He was the first person that started it and brought it back. After it was what? After it was demolished and after its athar, its effect had been what? Demolished. And after it had been buried, he came with the statues, he brought them up, dug them out, and the people started worshiping them in the Jazeera al-Arab again, after they've been buried. As the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, that he seen him in the hellfire dragging his intestines. Because he was the person that was what? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us and you from that. That he said he was seen in the hellfire dragging his intestines. Due to the fact that he was the first person to bring polytheism back to the land, where people started worshiping statues again and images. Also, Amr ibn Luhay al-Khuza'i likewise have received inspiration from Shaitan in statements and actions of extremism. And you'll notice that a lot of these different types of extremisms, it started from some type of awham or some type of ilham, shaitani, some type of satanic inspiration and some type of satanic manipulation, in which you'll find that Amr ibn Luhay al-Khuza'i likewise was inspired by the shaitan in order to commit polytheism. As we know in Hajj and Umrah, for those who have made it, knows the famous talbiyah that everyone makes once he's in the ihram, which is labbaik, Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, inna alhamda wa ni'mata wa laka wal mulk la sharika lak. When you go over to Hajj or Umrah, you make that talbiyah. You'll say that as soon as you're in the ihram, which was the talbiyah of Ibrahim. The talbiyah of Ibrahim when you want to make Umrah or Hajj. He said, labbaik, labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, excuse me. لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. طيب. Amr ibn Luhay al-Khuza'i, Shaitan came to him and changed it. Because that was the talbiyah of Ibrahim. Shaitan came to his mind and changed it. It gave him some satanic inspiration. It said, لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك إلا لك لا شريك إلا هو لك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إلا شريكا هو لك ما تملك وما ملك تملكه وما ملك. That's it. So he changed it to talbiyah. So you know the talbiyah of Tawheed is لبيك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. He came with a statement, Shaitan twisted it and said لبيك إلا شريكا هو لك تملكه وما ملك. So Shaitan twisted it. He said, لبيك إلا شريكا هو لك تملكه وما ملك. Shaitan changed it. And then Amr ibn Luhay al-Khuza'i said, that sounds good. Let me say that. So then Amr ibn Luhay al-Khuza'i changed it, the talbiyah to this. He said, لبيك اللهم لبيك لا شريك إلا هو لك. So we know the talbiyah originally says, Allah, you have no partner. La sharika laka labbaik. No partner for you, I'm answering your call. Inna alhamda wa ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika lak. There's no partner for you. So now he says in this talbiyah, illa sharikan huwa lak. Except the partner that you do have. Illa sharikan huwa lak. Tamlikuhu wa ma malak. Except a partner that is for you. You own it and what he owns. So you notice that Shaitan inspired him with this talbiyah. Twisted it until he started to what? Say it. Until they now what? As a result of it, polytheism also started spreading in statements. So Amr ibn Luhay al-Khuza'i started with all of this in the land of the Arab. Notice that Shaitan utilized it in order for people to now practice what? Polytheism. By this type of extremism. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? So I think it was the labbaik Allahumma labbaik illa sharika huwa lak tamlikuhu wa ma malak. He changed it. Tamlikuhu wa ma malak. You own the partner and what he owns. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So other than Allah owns something in his dominion. So that's what? Shirk. Polytheism. You understand, everyone? Is it clear what I'm saying so far? Everything I'm saying clear so far? You sure, Caden? We mentioned it, said, Ya Ma'ash al-Ikhwa, that this story of what Ibn Abbas mentioned in your books has a lot of benefits. Firstly, number one, I'll mention the statement of Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah before we extract the benefits. Shaykh al-Islam mentioned something very profound. As a matter of fact, I'll go before that. As a matter of fact, I'll read Shaykh Abdul Rahman ibn Hassan al-Shaykh, he says, فَكُلُّ مَنْ دَعَى نَبِيًّا. This is not the statement of Shaykh al-Islam. This is Shaykh Abdul Rahman ibn Hassan al-Shaykh. He says, كُلُّ مَنْ دَعَى نَبِيًّا أَوَّلِيًّا. every person that invokes or worships a prophet or a wali, a righteous individual, besides Allah, then he has taken him as a deity. I'll say it again. It's clear. Whoever invokes a prophet or a messenger or a person who's righteous, a wali, a true wali, who's not the Sufis, not the wali based upon the meaning of the Sufis, but the wali who's based upon the meaning of Ahlul Sunnah, who's someone who's truly righteous, who has the proper aqidah and the proper belief. You'll find that there are people to this day that do worship people who are righteous from the Muslims, such as Abdul Qadir al-Jilani. The Sufis worship him. And also they have a grave in Egypt for the great Imam from Ahlul Sunnah, Al-Layth ibn Sa'd, rahimahullah. They claim that his grave is there, and they worship his grave. They worship his grave, the great Imam from Ahlul Sunnah, Layth ibn Sa'd, rahimahullah, which is also in Egypt. And he was from the ulama of Ahlul Sunnah in Egypt. Rather, he was a mihna for Ahlul Sunnah, for those who used to speak ill of him. They used to also accuse him from being from the people of deviance if you talk bad about Layth ibn Sa'd in Egypt. At any rate, Layth ibn Sa'd died, and they claim that right now they have a grave in which they also likewise worship in Egypt. Same thing. And also the Imam al-Shafi'i, same thing. The great Imam al-Shafi'i, Muhammad ibn Idris al-Qurashi, al-Imam al-Shafi'i. His name was Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi'i. Likewise. And also the grave of Hussein is likewise his worship. The grave of Hussein, the grandson of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Hussein ibn Ali, is also worship, his grave. Even though Hussein was buried where everyone in Medina, but they claim that they have a grave in Egypt that they worship. And his grave is not even there. His body nor his head. Why do I say body and his head? Because the Shia was the one that cut his head off. They claim that they love Ali, but they're the ones that killed him. Or they played a part in his assassination, I think. Excuse me. They played a part in his assassination, and they played a part, and rather they were the ones that were they conspired to kill him and have him what? Killed in a very, 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 very humiliating fashion. The Shia, yes. The Shia co-conspired to kill Ali's son, Hussein. Until they what? They cut his neck off. They cut his neck off. His head was sent back to the king of the Khalifa in Iraq. He was sent back. Until then, after that, if you'll find in the seerah, they found in the history of what happened with Hussein, of his head and his body was sent back to the Baqi' in Al-Madinah, where he was buried next to his brother Hassan in Al-Madinah. Or he's buried in the grave of Hassan, which is the Baqi', which is right next outside the masjid, outside the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ. You'll find there's a big, huge graveyard, which is called the Baqi'. The Baqi', where the Sahaba are buried, and where a lot of the great Sahaba are buried in there, and from them is Hussein. So Hussein is in the Baqi' in Al-Madinah. Even though they claim that Hussein is where? In Egypt. And if you look to the seerah and the history books of it, Hussein's body nor his head is there. Rather, it was what? Buried in the city of the Prophet ﷺ in the Baqi' next to the masjid in Al-Madinah, which is in the graveyard, which is called the Baqi'. The Baqi'. The Baqi', like we said, is where Hussein is buried, not in Egypt. So you got to think also, not only do they worship a grave of people who are not righteous, they also worship a grave where the person who's truly supposed to be the one they're worshiping is not there. He's not there. And they know that. And they live off the provisions of the people every day by misleading them and also what? Beguiling them and fooling them. And they live off this every day. Live off of polytheism. That's one of the most what? Foolish ways. Just like the Christians, same thing. Christians live off every day. Living off monies, people donating 13% of their savings go automatically to falsehood. And they make sure that their expenses get paid, their dues that they say. That they make sure the church gets paid a certain tax of their income every week to almost every year towards something that is totally incorrect. Same thing to the Muslims, imitated them. Same exact thing. Doesn't matter. It's not different. No different. You'll find that there are people that likewise are making tawaf and worshiping graves with people who are not either righteous or not even there in the grave. And they make money off of this every day in order to live off it. And the people who support it, know in their minds that they're what? That it's all wrong. But however, to say what we're going to do, we make money off of this, we make a living, we make good money, we make good salary at the expense of people performing polytheism, they'll live it. They'll go along with it. You'll find that a lot of people about to the falsehood know what they're doing is wrong. You'll find that the Sufis admit it from the heads of those who truly have that truly, and they're far few, that truly study Kitab and Sunnah. They will say that the Salafis and the people of Hadith are upon the truth. They'll say it. You guys are upon the truth. So why are you misleading the people? Yeah, you got to look. You see how they show good respect to us and reverence and how they treat us and how we make good money. What are we going to do? We're comfortable. My kids is comfortable. I live in a nice house. I got nice everything, nice salary, nice pay. What are we going to do? What am I going to do? And even with the Christians, those who truly have knowledge from the Christians, that study their book and know all the different alterations in the end, how suspect it is in the stories, because you'll find that there are professors that have taught in college that they say that all of this is suspect. And that's the confirmation of the ayah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that. About those who truly killed Jesus, they were in doubt. Did they truly kill him or not? It says this ayah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِنَّ الَّذِينَ اخْتَلَفُوا فِيهِ لَفِي شَكٍّ مِّنْ مَا لَهُمْ بِهِ مِنْ عِلْمٍ إِلَّا اتِّبَاعَ الظَّنِّ وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ يَقِينًا. Allah says that in his book. He says that those who differed, because they were different, like, was he killed or not? As we know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala already confirmed that he wasn't killed. Right, everyone? That's what we're going to talk about next. Because if you look in the book, it's coming. What does it say? If you look in your books, do not overpraise me how they overpraise what? It's in your book. Do not overpraise me how the Christians overpraise Son of Mary. That's going to come. Don't worry. But I'm just giving you a little introduction. So it's in your books. It's there. So it's not like I exited out of the lesson. I'm still in the lesson. طيب. So now, Jesus, the Son of Mary, you'll find that the people who killed him, they differed. Did we kill him or not? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in his book clearly, what? He says that, وَمَا قَتَلُوا وَمَا صَلَبُوا وَلَكِنْ شُبِّهَ لَهُمْ. They didn't kill him, nor did they crucify him. They only what? Killed the man who was put on him the resemblance of Jesus, the Son of Mary. And he says, and those who differed in that, they are in true doubt. They have no knowledge except following mere what? No, ittiba' al-dhann. Just following suspect, conjecture, doubt, suspicion. That's it. مَا لَهُمْ بِهِ مِنْ عِلْمٍ إِلَّا اتِّبَاعَ الظَّنِّ. They have no true knowledge of that except following mere speculation. Speculative. And they did not kill him for sure. Rather, Allah raised it to him, and Allah is Azizun Hakim. So Allah Ta'ala raised Jesus, the Son of Mary, before they even carried out their plot to kill him. They didn't kill him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to humiliate them by fooling their plot. So Jesus, the Son of Mary, was not put on the cross, nor was he put thorns on his head. None of these things happened. It's all false. Rather, Jesus, the Son of Mary, as we know, will come back later on. And one of the reasons why he's coming back later on, to clarify to the Christians, I did not die on the cross. Because he never died on it, because he what? That's the reason why he came back, because he never was killed in the first place. You understand, everyone? He's coming back because he never was killed in the first place. Coming back to tell the Christians that what? You are supposed to follow what? The Prophet ﷺ. Because the majority of his followers, or the majority of those who he's going to be with, rather those who he definitely is going to be with, is the followers of the Prophet ﷺ. Rather, he's going to have him and the followers of the Prophet to carry out the main war, the major war that's coming, which is what? The war with the Antichrist. And those who will be the followers from the Jews of Asbahan. And also the people of misguidance from the people of Takfir, from the Khawarij, who are also going to be from his followers. From the people of Ahlul Bid'ah, the people of innovation, also going to be from his followers. From the Khawarij. طيب. So like we said, Ya Ma'ashar al-Ikhwa, it's very interesting, huh? Very interesting. طيب. So now Jesus, the son of Mary, like we said, even their own scholars, and I'm getting back to the initial thing I was talking about 5 minutes ago, where even their own scholars from the Christians who truly study in the true Catholicism and all the different denominations of the Christians, those who truly study their book know all this is what? Speculative. You know it's doubtful. They even will tell some of the people, even though I know it sounds good, but even us are in doubt about this. They'll tell you that. As I've known people truly have told me stories and professors in college that have said this to them. And they say, well, you believe this even though you're doubtful about it. Yeah, it's just something I was born with. What am I going to do? That's all they say. Even though they have doubt about it. They'll say, this is something that my mom was born with, my grandmother won't go and do. Even though I know it's not true, suspect, speculative, yeah, hey, what you going to do? So these are the people who truly had knowledge about the religion of Christianity, not those who jump up in the church, jumping up with their clothes on and jumping up singing songs for 2 hours straight and clapping their hands and singing tunes and memorizing music. No, these are people that had knowledge of their own book, have clearly said and confessed that all of this is what? Suspect. So just because you jump up songs and sing and praise the Lord that you think you're doing does not prove that you're upon what? The truth. You're just singing songs. Doesn't mean you have what? Knowledge of the religion. You understand? And you'll find that the people who sing songs, they're the most ignorant of their religion. You understand what I'm saying? طيب. So that's the reason why we say, Ya Ma'ashar al-Ikhwa. Oh. Did the bell ring already? So one time, that's the first warning coming. Type. So we type. So now we extract. Oh, I forgot to say the statement of Shaykh al-Islam. So the statement of Shaykh Abdul Rahman ibn Hassan Ali Shaykh. He said in Fath al-Majid. He said, whoever invokes a prophet or messenger or wali besides Allah, then he has taken him as a deity. Taken that prophet and messenger as a deity of worship. Is that the prophet messenger's fault? Is that his fault, everyone? We say no. And whoever does this, so now you find Shaykh Abdul Rahman al-Hassan Shaykh is talking about the Muslims. Whoever has done this has resembled the Christians in their polytheism. Meaning whoever went to this extreme, I'll say it again. Whoever went to this extreme with what they call ifrat. Ifrat means extreme. Whoever took a prophet or a messenger or one who is righteous besides Allah as a deity of worship, then his extremism has resembled the extremism of the Christians. Write this down, though. Then his extremism has resembled the extremism of the Christians. Anybody from the Muslims has taken a prophet or a messenger or a righteous one as a deity worship, then he has fell into the same extremism as who? Alhamdulillah, when you hear when we speaking, alhamdulillah, when you hear Ahlul Sunnah speaking and Salafi speaking, it's clear as the sun in the sky. It's clear. You hear like, man, all this makes sense. It's not difficult. It doesn't take a rocket science genius to understand this. It's clear. Rather, when you read the books of the Sufis and read the nonsense they read, you be like, this is confusing. What the? Someone saw he had sex with an animal. He gave the khutbah naked. Oh, okay. That's deep. Abdul Qadir, Allah fell, and Abdul Qadir Jilani helped him up. That's deep right there. That's some deep stuff right there. Stuff, right? And that's the reason why when you're upon that way, when you ponder and you traverse the path of the people, bid'ah is going to bring doubt in your heart. Because anyone that reads this with any sense in their mind is going to be like, I don't believe that nonsense. Are you joking with me? Who's going to believe that? I don't believe that. You're going to be laughing. Like, this is my belief. I believe, supposed to believe this. You must be joking. You serious? Someone staying up on Friday butt naked, talking to people? Oh, okay. I'll let you tell it. You understand, everyone? So anyone with any common sense will reject this nonsense. What kind of crap is this? This is a belief? I'll say this last statement, then we'll stop. So whoever went to the extremes where they have invoked a prophet or a messenger or a righteous one, then his extremism has resembled the extremism of who? The Christians. And whoever makes mockery of a prophet and condemns him and speaks ill about him and disparages him and rejects his messengership, then he has in his negligence resembled the extremism of negligence as far as in who? The Jews. Because the Christians went in the extremes of Jesus the Son of Mary, where hence where the Jews made enmity with him, against him. And they insulted him, and they mocked him, and they ridiculed him. So the Christians, afratu, wal Yahud farratu. The Christians went to the extremes, whereas the Jews went in being to what? Negligent. If you want to go both one side of the extreme, it's just the opposite. Jafa. Ahsant. We'll stop here, inshallah. I'll see you guys Wednesday. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك وأشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Any questions about the lesson, anyone?